Right, today we've got quite a large job on. We are upgrading this counterweight tilter door. First I'll show you what the problem is, and this has been fixed multiple times over the years. Unfortunately, it's a bit too broken now and we cannot fix it anymore. The parts are no longer available, and our previous quick fixes are coming to an end. As you can see, that bar there is quite bent as well. That's not a major problem. Quite clunky, these doors, but they do the job. There's a better view of the gear that's slipping. The top gear, I've got heaps of those second-hand in stock that are fine, but that main drive gear with the sprocket on it, that's the one that's worn, and they are impossible to find these days. So if we lift it up via this mechanism here, the door opens quite smoothly, but there's not really any specific motor for these doors anymore. So we need to remove all of this mechanism, the tracking, the heavy weights, the cable. They probably weigh at least 50 kilos each. Got to cut off the brackets on the door, these ones as well. So we need to make this door back into a bare bones frame again. Remove that cable, that doesn't get used anyway, and remove the motor system that's not working. That's a floor to ceiling motor, and then cut off all of these brackets as well. So basically we're left with just a bare frame of a door, which will keep the Strata Corporation happy. They don't want the door changed, so that's why we're here, one of very few companies that can do this. And then we'll put the motor in the center along the ceiling there, our traditional sectional door motor or tilted door motor that runs along the ceiling with our new mechanism. It'll be able to run the new style of door. So first we'll start by removing the control box. Take the plug out, and this is held on by two Phillips head screws. We'll just unplug the cable from the motor mechanism. That's only low voltage, about 24 or so volts get sent up to the motor. This box is still pretty good. I replaced this with a good second-hand, not very old control box about 1 year ago, so I'll put that back into our second-hand storage for another job. So this one has a manual mechanism. It's been a bit bodged up here. Normally there's a easy to remove split pin in that bar there. This one has an inbuilt mechanism into the motor, but this is generally your first point of call if you don't have that style. You pull this pin out, and then that bar drops down. It's supposed to, but it's a bit gunked up. There you go, that bar drops down, comes away from the motor mechanism, and now the motor and the door are totally separated from each other. And you can use that manually. So we'll unbolt the motor from the floor and a bolt up the top there, and we'll try and get this off. So that's the top bolts removed, and that's the whole mechanism of the motor removed. So that wasn't too bad at all. I've done about 2 or 3 of these in this complex over the years. Now we'll need to remove the weights. A bit of a struggle, but I got them off, not too bad. Okay, so now the door's just sitting in the opening, just wedged in there. Hopefully it's not going anywhere. So that's the track off on that side. That wasn't too bad to get off either. Everything pretty much just unbolts. And now we'll take that one off next. So there you go, that's our bolts taken out of the track. We'll just push this one off the wall if it comes off, once we get that cable out of the way. So the rendering may be holding this track on as well. Give it a bit of a kick, and it should break free from the wall. There we go, 21 years of dirt holding that on, and maybe a couple of paint jobs. So there's our second track off of the mechanism. So that's the door uninstalled. Now we have to go around and cut off all the bracket work. So we're left with our basic frame of a door. We'll keep the center truss in place, of course. We just need 2 flat sides on each part of the door to mount our new fittings. I'm just going to show you one-handed to do this one here. I won't video all the bracket cutting, but you get the idea. We're using our 1mm cut-off blade on the Makita brushless grinder. Make short work of anything. These grinders are a powerhouse. All right, so that one's cut off. Now we need to do all the other brackets. So the center ones with the rollers, they're a bit trickier. They have that center gusset in there. We have to get a new blade that's a bit bigger. If I had a 9-inch grinder, that would come off in about 3 seconds. So we've used a fair bit of that. Now we're going to put our grinding wheel on and just grind all our cut off bits flat. And then we have a nice smooth surface to mount our new tiltador fittings to. So I'll give you a quick sample of our grinding. I'm just doing this one-handed, just to show you the rough technique of grinding your welds flat. But I'll put the video down and get stuck into this with 2 hands, and there we go. And these are our new fittings. We have to install all of this onto the door. Got our big chunky springs, 1 each side on this door. That's all we need. They're quite powerful. So once we set up our fittings, we need to mark out how high they need to mount from the ceiling and the floor. So I've already measured that down. That line there is the height of the first fitting. We've marked out our holes. We're going to drill into the wall and mount our first fitting to. So I've put a bit of electrical tape around the drill bit, just so we don't go in too far. We don't need to weaken the brickwork any more than we have to. This is my new Makita blower. This thing's awesome. I've got rid of my snail blower. This has less power on paper, but it absolutely blows like crazy. It's a lot higher pressure than your older brushed snail blower. I love it. A lot more compact too for the toolbox. Comes with heaps of different fittings. And yeah, this thing is just insane. Brushless motor, heaps of power. All right, so we're going to pop our first Dynabolt into the wall. Got our second one, and we'll tap those in with the hammer. And then we'll get the impact driver, and we'll anchor those in with enough thread sticking out to put our tiltador fitting on. Should be enough. So we'll get our impact driver with 13mm socket. We'll just anchor those in. And then we'll take the nuts off and we'll put our fitting on, and hopefully we've measured properly and the holes line up perfectly, which of course they do. So that's how our fitting mounts to the wall. So the door will go up and down like this, a nice smooth scissor action. No big heavy counterweights or pulley mechanisms, cables. Just one main bearing and a spring. So there's our first fitting installed. Now we've got to put our second one up. So that's ready to go, assembled. We need to get our laser level out now and match up to this one here. So that will connect to the door with some Tech screws. So to stop the door falling down onto my ute, I've just put this temporary bracket there. Otherwise, this door will just fall straight down like a pancake. So let's mount this second fitting. We'll grab our laser level. My 15-year-old Hilti laser level was having some issues, so I picked up this new DeWalt laser level from Bunnings. I've never used a line level before. Mine used to have red dots, which was great in the sun, but this one works if it's fairly shaded. I think you can buy special glasses. So we've measured down and put a mark there, and we're going to put a mark there. So that's our base level. And now we can measure down from the existing bracket and put that same measurement from the green line up, and that will match up perfectly to the other one. Okay, so mounted to the wall, we've Tech screwed temporarily to the door. And now, our door, once we unwedge it from our packers, it should swing open. So I'm just going to put a Tech screw at the top and the bottom for now, and we'll bung in the rest once we know everything's working okay. So we should be able to push that door open with our foot. It's quite heavy. I reckon when I tried to open this by hand without the springs, there'd be a good 100 kilos of weight there. So those springs do heaps of work. They've got quite a bit of leverage. Okay, so I've got the door open with much struggle. 2 people, it's much easier. So I'm just going to temporarily prop it up with the old motor. So that's our mechanism mounted to the door. Looking good so far. Now we have to put our springs on. A bit more hardware there as well. So we've got our eye bolt and lower bracket, which needs to go on the bottom of the brickwork. I've already pre-drilled and put a Dynabolt into there. We'll just fix that in. Take the nut off and put our bracket on. All right, we'll secure that up, and then we'll go and do the other side. So that's our setup there. That's pretty much complete. You may have to do some hole adjustments depending on the weight of the door and how much leverage we need. We can fine tune that later. So we're just doing the eye bolt up a bit more. Just want to take the slack out of the spring. That's pretty good for now. Once we remove the temporary motor support, the door will drop a fraction and the spring will take up some more slack with the leverage on the arm there. But that's pretty good for now. All right, now we need to do the other one. That's all good. So we're pretty much ready to test the door. And that is actually quite well balanced. You can tell I've done this before. Now we'll just completely close the door and just see what the bottom tension is like. There may be too much leverage, so I might just bump that up a hole on the bottom of the arm there, and then we'll mount the motor to it and see what happens. But yeah, for now, that's holding the weight just nicely. Let's just close that down. So yeah, it does have a little bit too much leverage, I think. So I might have to bump that up maybe one hole and it should be about perfect. So there's our mechanism there. We've just still got our 2 Tech screws in each side. All right, so I've mounted the motor and done all the adjustments, and this thing works like a dream. Very smooth, much better than the old counterweight system. The only difference is it does swing out about 400 millimeters, so you can't park your car right against it, which is just a little bit extra than the old door. But yeah, this thing is working fantastic. Got to be super happy with a big job like this when it all works out exactly how you expect it. So there you go. Counterweight tilt door, fully converted into a more modern, smoother and quieter system with these spring-loaded scissor type arms. Oh yeah, and that's the brackets that go down the bottom there to stop the door. I didn't show you that before. That's the only extra piece. And there you have it. Another one in the complex, converted and working awesome. And the good thing is all of these parts are readily available for maintenance and replacement. Unlike the old counterweight tilt door, they're all pretty much custom made parts these days. I'm that roller door bloke, thanks for watching.